Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In previous lecture we have discussed about formulating the research design. We are talking about a step-by-step process of how we can design our research once we decided about the topic and objectives, how we can move further to design our research project. And within research designing and formulating we have discussed number of issues. I am just summarizing in few slides about what we have discussed. For example, we have discussed about the research strategies, in which we have discussed experimental research, ethnographic research, case studies, and number of other things. And in our previous lecture we have discussed about action research, grounded theory, and ethnographic research. So in action research we have talked about the collaboration between researcher and practitioner. So we have also discussed that it's research in action rather than on action. So not only you are involved in doing research, but you're part of research, and your collaboration with those who are the end user of your research is also closely knitted. So action research focuses on close collaboration. You as a researcher should have a close collaboration with those who are at the end use of the research product or a research that you want to conduct. Grounded theory we have discussed in previous lecture, that it talks about how you gonna collect the data, and then you test the data and you come up with something that is not hypothesized previously, or that is basically without theoretical framework, but you have had the data based on which you have come up with some new theoretical insight into the one or the other field of research of study. So it basically focuses on not only collection of data, but also it starts without the initial theoretical framework. And we have taken the examples of demographic and health survey, Pakistan integrated household surveys, where you have number of data sets on various issues and various variables, various topics like health, education, agriculture, etc. And what you do, you basically try to see how you can use that data to analyze the numbers and to come up with something that is substantial, and that has some theoretical backing into it. And that is how we do grounded theory research. Then we also discussed about ethnographic research, which helps in actually interpreting the world in which the subjects actually live. So it is interpreting the social world the research subjects live in and their own way of interpreting it. So you might see a place where people are living and interacting and social community gathering places, and you have another interpretation, or might be a little different interpretation of that place relative to those who are living at that place. So you don't have to be emphasizing on your own interpretation, but you have to live with them in their own vicinity, in their own society, in their own community, and then you have to see how they interpret their social place or their social way of living together. So this is how you actually conduct ethnographic research. When you are trying to formulate a research design, what you basically do, you try to come up with a suitable design or research strategy that helps you to determine what kind of data needs are there, what kind of theoretical framework or conceptual framework you are following, how you gonna conduct that, and what kind of variables or parameters you are going to use so that you have data for them and you can analyze the data and you come up with the results that are relevant to your research questions and objective. So your always focus will remain on the question of your research and the objectives that you have in your mind or you have written down. So action research, grounded theory, ethnographic research are some of the topics that we have discussed. And then we have also discussed that research design also need time horizon. But before that, we have also we have briefly discussed about naturalism. And naturalism means that researcher will be researching the phenomena within the context in which it occurs. So how real life is interpreted or looked upon is basically the natural way of looking at the things, and if the researcher looking at the things in that way, it's basically naturalism. We have also discussed about time horizon, that is what kind of data you actually need. Is it a cross-sectional data, when you have one point of time many observations from the subjects you want to observe, or at various point of time the same subjects can be observed? So for cross-sectional data, for example, you do analysis for the month of June and you see how their consumption pattern behaves. So you interview, let's say 30, 35, 50, 200, 300 people. And for longitudinal, if you want to study their consumption pattern in June, so you go every June of the year to interview the same people. So you not only have cross-section, but you have time in it also. So you can have panel data, you can have cross-sectional data, you can have longitudinal data. And the credibility of research finding, we have also discussed that it's an other important aspect that one has to consider. And under this, one must consider the following, that is reliability, validity, generalizability, logic hurdles, and false assumptions. We have to understand these four important aspects of credibility of the research findings. Either findings are reliable or not, whether they can be validated or not, are they generalizable, are there any logical hurdles when you interpret the results, are there any false assumptions that you have made when you analyze the data or when you have had theoretical frameworks. So these four important points you have to keep in mind. We have also discussed that these are the things that are needed for credibility of research findings. And then we talked about the research ethics. So research design must be ethical. Ethical in the sense that it should not harm the subject, it should not embarrass them, and it must not lead to other material disadvantages. For example, nowadays the election season is going on in Pakistan, and there are constituencies where the voter turnout can be mixed. So some can go for one party, some others can go another party. If you are taking interview at a public place and asking people which party you are going to vote, it might have some material disadvantage for those who want to say something for one or the other party. So you have to have idea in your mind that your questions, the way you take data, the way you conduct research must not lead to material disadvantage for the subject you want to interview or you want to have some research on. It should not harm them, and it also should not embarrass them. So these are some of the important points that we discussed in our previous lecture, where we were discussing about research design and formulation of research design. Now in today's lecture, which is 10th of our lecture series, we are discussing about theoretical framework and hypothesis development. We have talked about theoretical framework time and again, not in detail, but we have used this term to actually understand that we need a basis for understanding the whole phenomena. And theory actually tells us the relationship between the variables, how they are interlinked, how they are generating knowledge together, how they are actually interacting with each other in one or the other particular context. So we have to understand theoretical framework and hypothesis. How do we develop hypothesis? Why do we develop hypothesis? And what role these two things can play when we develop a theoretical framework and also hypothesis. So this is the framework which we have to see, that a simple research process actually starts from observation of broad area. So theoretical framework and hypothesis development. This is the simple diagram which actually explains how the research process starts, how it ends, and where comes the role of theoretical framework and hypothesis development. So for example, our first thing in any of the research project, or we want to start a research project, is basically observation of the broad area. So we have to have an observation of what kind of area we want to research on, let's say marketing or human resource development, finance. And once we know about the broader area, we actually know what are the issues, what are the knowledge gaps that exist in that area, in particular context where we are living, and how do we use this broader area to further clarify our understanding of one or the other issue. And then we actually start with preliminary data gathering. So once we have observations and all, what we do, we basically think what kind of data we need, what kind of parameters we have to estimate, what kind of variables for which we want to have some information. And once we know what kind of data or preliminary data gathering things we need, then what we do, we basically go and talk about what is our problem definition. So it's basically might be the research question that we want to analyze, or we just want to say that this is the basic issue on which our research is based, and we want to analyze this issue in this or that context. So for example, in human resource management, we have conflict of interest among higher level employees at governor or board of director level. So how to mitigate this conflict of interest stuff when it comes to proliferating a new idea in an organization. So if we want to see that, we have to have a research or problem definition, and that problem definition actually leads us to the thing that we want to discuss, and that's basically our theoretical framework. So theoretical framework actually informs us about the link between variables, or the one variable with another variable, how this variable is linked to another variable. And that theoretical framework or conceptual framework actually tells us what kind of hypothesis we can generate. That leads us to hypothesis generation or generation of hypothesis. So we have seen that they are actually interlinked with each other. Every single step of research is linked to each other. So we have to have an observation based on which we try to see what kind of data we need. Once we know that, we basically need a problem definition, and if we know our problem definition, what we do, we then try to see what kind of theoretical linkages are there between variables through theoretical framework, and that framework actually guides us about the generation of hypotheses, and that hypothesis actually leads us to scientific research design. Once you have formulated the hypothesis, then you will be in a good position to design your research, that we have already discussed in our previous lectures, that how to formulate and design our research. And once you are in a position to design your research, what you can do is to start collection of data, also analysis of data, and interpreting it. That's the next step that we'll try to see in our lectures in future. But today we are talking about framework, that is theoretical framework, and also hypothesis, that is the relationship of variables that we want to test. And after this scientific research design, what you do, you have data collection. Once you collect the data, you analyze and interpret the data, and after that interpretation, you basically deduce your hypothesis, whether your hypothesis is accepted or not accepted, is it significantly influencing or non-significantly influencing, is it positively or negatively, and then you try to write your report, dissertation, research paper, project report, whatever that particular research is all about. And then you have to have a report presentation, and based on your report and presentation there must be a managerial or higher level decision making. So if it is a dissertation you have submitted to the department will say either you have passed or not, or you need some revisions, or you have minor or major revisions. If it is for organization will tell whether it make any significant influence to the organization's particular issue that you researched on or not. And this is how basically our whole research process is linked. It actually starts from the observation on the broader area of research where you want to focus on, and then it moves step by step from one step to another, and then you take a step where you have to have a theoretical framework where you link variables with each other, and then you formulate hypothesis. So theoretical framework, what and why? What and why of theoretical framework? It's basically the basis of entire research. Whatever research you want to conduct, theoretical framework forms the basis of that research. It's based on theoretical framework that you hypothesize one or the other relationship. It helps in building and identifying logical sense of the relationship among several variables or factors that are important to the problem. So hypothesis basically tells you not only how to build and also identify the logical relationship between factors or variables that leads you to the problem solution. Integrating logical beliefs with published research. It basically means that you are integrating logical sequenced beliefs with published research. So here comes the role of literature review. We have also discussed in length that literature review is very important for various reasons. One of the reasons is that it helps you to get some theoretical insights of various relationships among variables. So once you know what are the relationships that exist between or among variables, you will be in a good position to integrate logical beliefs with that of the published research. So this is where you linked your theoretical logical sense with that of the published research, and here the role of literature review is immensely important. So if you don't have reviewed the literature, and that too critically, you will not be in a position to actually talk about anything that is logical and theoretically linked. So if this is the case, you will be in a good position to have a sound theoretical framework or conceptual framework that leads you to deduce something that is very important, and also you'll be in a position to produce knowledge in that particular field of research. It also helps in developing a scientific basis for investigation or investigating the research problem. So when you are decided what kind of research problem you are researching on, or you are trying to investigate, theoretical framework helps you to develop scientific basis for that. For example, the simple example that we are discussing in our previous lecture, we try to see how theoretical framework actually helps. So if you want to analyze financial development leads to economic growth, what kind of theory actually leads you, or what kind of scientific basis leads you to deduce this hypothetical relationship or theoretical relationship. So theory says that when in an economy, banks, stock exchange, credit, private investment, foreign direct investment, these are all the variables that tells us about financial development. when these variables or parameters of financial development actually increase or function smoothly in an economy and also formally in an economy, they will lead you, for example, foreign direct investment leads you to more investment in infrastructure, in social sector, agriculture, other infrastructure projects. Private investment also do the same thing. Banks helps to provide credit for those who have liquidity constraint. So what it does, it basically provides formal channels to finance. And formal channel to finance actually helps you or helps the people in that particular economy to invest more, to use that finance for their liquidity constraints, and that helps to mobilize economy on active, positive path of investing in infrastructure, in social sector and other places. So that leads the economy to grow, because whenever there is an investment, that actually generates employment, and that employment generation helps in reducing poverty, and that also helps in creating more demand for, let's say, food and non-food items, for services and for other products. And that is how actually economy's demand grows. And when the demand grows in an economy, supply should meet the demand to maintain prices. And if that is the case, economy actually moves on the higher paths of economic growth. This is the theoretical basis which tells us the relationship between financial development and economic growth. So that scientific basis should be there if you want to investigate the research problem, and that is the help that theoretical or conceptual framework actually provides to a researcher. It helps in testing certain relationship to improve our understanding of the situation. So how do financial development leads to economic growth? Is it always that it has positive impact? Is it always that it has neutral impact? It is always that it has a negative impact. So there are researchers which conducted studies that says that financial development may lead to negative economic growth due to maybe financial crunch, due to maybe financial crisis, due to maybe more linked to international market. Whatever happens to international market might have some impact on the local financial market, and that have some negative impact on economic growth of that particular country. So that is also a theoretical channel that actually helps you to investigate or test certain relationship, and that helps to improve our understanding of the situation. So you will be in a better position to actually explain whether financial development leads to economic growth, does not leads to economic growth, or it doesn't have any relationship with that. It helps in developing testable hypotheses. So now, based on that theoretical framework, we are in a position to develop a hypothesis that financial development have positive impact on economic growth, or financial development leads to economic growth. So this is how theoretical framework actually helps in developing testable hypotheses. So theoretical framework actually does few things. So first, it actually identifies the problem, and then it identifies the variables that contribute to it. So the problem is that we want to see the drivers of economic growth, and then through theoretical framework or conceptual framework, we are able to understand that it's basically one of the factors of economic growth can be financial development in an economy or in a country. And that theoretical framework is actually tightly linked or knitted with the literature survey, the literature review. Again, we have the importance of, we have to understand how important it is to do critical literature survey. So literature survey actually provides a solid foundation for developing a theoretical or conceptual framework. So this is what literature survey actually does. And then that theoretical framework helps in elaborating the relationships among variables, explain the theory underlying these relationship, and describe the nature and direction of relationship. So we have discussed all the things in the example of financial development versus economic growth. So the relationship actually in our theoretical framework goes from financial development to economic growth. So it also tells about the direction. So direction is from financial development to economic growth. Nature in our theoretical framework, it can be positive, it can be negative, it can be neutral. It tells us about the relationship and also the direction. So we also come to know that there is a relationship between financial development and economic growth, and also we come to know that the direction, at least in this context, moves from financial development to economic growth. So identifying problem, and then it helps in identifying variables that contribute to that problem. Literature survey helps in providing basis for theoretical and or conceptual framework, and then theoretical framework actually elaborates or helps in trying to see the relationship among variables, explain the theory underlying these variables, and describe the nature and direction of the relationships among these variables. It clearly identifies and labels the variables of study, whether they are relevant or not. Theoretical framework or conceptual framework actually informs us about whether we are clear about our variables or not, whether we have identified them nicely, or we have labeled them accordingly or not. If we have clarity, identification, and relevance of the variables of study, then we'll be in a position that theoretical framework actually guiding our research. And if research is guided based on theoretical framework, it is sound and also have some theoretical conceptual basis based on which we are hypothesizing one or the other relationship among variables. The important relationships among the variables must be defined. Theoretical conceptual framework must define the relationship between or among variables of interest. So how do foreign direct investment leads to economic growth? How do private investment leads to economic growth? How do stock market leads to economic growth? So these particular variable that proxy for financial development must have some theoretical links with that of economic growth, and that important relationship of these variables must be defined. And once you are in a position to define, then you will be in a good position actually to understand the theoretical linkages between variables. And when you are in a position to understand the theoretical linkages, you will be in a good position actually to do analysis and deduce based on your hypothesis the results that you want to have. It gives clear explanation of the existing relationships of different variables. Clear explanation is needed when you're talking about the existing relationship of various variables. How one variable is linked to another variable. So product quality versus consumer satisfaction. Is there any link between these two? How product quality impact or affect consumer satisfaction? If low quality product, does it have positive or negative impact on consumer satisfaction? If it is good or high quality product, how does it affect consumer satisfaction? So theoretical framework actually provides us clear explanation of the existing relationship of different variables within the theoretical framework. So it gives the direction of relationship on the basis of previous research findings. So we have already discussed, and I have separately pinpointed that these two important points are to be kept in mind, that we have to understand these things from literature review that we have already done. So number one, to get the direction of relationship on the basis of previous findings or previous research or previous research findings, and the argument could be drawn from the previous research findings. What kind of relationship it is, and what is the theoretical argument behind it. Relationship and their theoretical link. So these two things are actually important when it comes to formulating a research design based on theoretical or conceptual framework. And if this is the case, literature or critical literature review actually helps a lot in determining the direction of the relationship on the basis of previous research, that is through critical literature review, and also developing arguments that can be drawn from previous research findings. So these two things we can actually get from our critical literature review. So this is how various steps of research are interlinked with each other and how important they are. If you have not done the critical literature review critically, as well as you have not emphasized on it, you basically miss that part of your research, that is emphasizing on theoretical linkages among variables. And if you are unable to do that, you basically fall in a trap that you will be unable to develop a sound theoretical basis for your research. If this is the case, you will not be in a position to formulate hypotheses that are testable, and you cannot deduce from your analysis about what hypothesis you want to test and how. So this is how literature is linked to theoretical framework, and literature is actually also linked to what kind of research topic you have chosen, what are your research questions, and what are your objective. So this is how step by step we are linking one step of our research to another, and that step to another step. We have talked a lot about variables, but we don't know what are they, how do they behave, and why do we need them. Variables can be dependent, independent, moderate, and intervening. Dependent and independent are simple, that on left hand side for which you want to estimate an equation or model is basically a dependent variable. Independent variable are those which actually have one or the other way, positive or negative, significant or non-significant influence on the dependent variable. And then you have moderating variable that actually moderate the relationship between independent and dependent variable, and then you have an intervening variable which basically intervenes between dependent and independent variable. We will talk about dependent variables. It is basically the variable of primary interest. We are interested in dependent variable. That this particular variable depends on what other independent variable. It is also the main variable. Researchers give importance to understand and describe the dependent variable. So we want to see how this is linked to various other factors that have an influence or relationship with that. And we are in a position to find what are the variables that actually influence the dependent variable. So for example, checking loyalty of employees. That's our dependent variable which can be influenced by a number of variables. So this is how we actually define dependent variable, that it is one of the main variable that we are interested in our research. Independent variable is basically the variable which influences the dependent variable in that particular model or equation that we want to estimate. And moderating variable is the variable which modifies the original relationship between the independent and dependent variable. We have already discussed that, for example, GDP is the function of this or that variable, or let's say health expenditure is the function of this or that variable. So if health expenditure is dependent variable for which we are interested, so there might be that unemployment at national level have some influence on it, might be pollution have some influence on it, that more pollution leads to more diseases, people want to use more hospitals, and that actually leads government to spend more on health services. So this is how you see link between independent and dependent variable. In that case, pollution is independent variable while health expenditure is dependent variable, because it depends on pollution. If pollution is increasing, there must be an influence on health expenditure through disease channel, and that influence government have to see whether they have to increase or decrease health spending based on the impact of pollution. So this is how dependent and independent variables are interlinked, and that we know through theoretical framework, and part of that actually comes through critical literature review, which is guided by our main research topic, research questions and objectives. And moderating variables is basically the one which modifies the relationship between these two variables. We have given these examples of moderating variables. For example, we have quality of product, which is our independent variable, and then we have our dependent variable, that is consumer satisfaction. So consumer satisfaction depends on quality of product, but the moderating variable can be training. So if we train the employees of particular organization to have a produce of quality, then definitely will be in a position to satisfy consumers' concerns or demand. So training actually leads to quality products, which actually leads to more consumer satisfaction, or the other way around. So this is how training can be a moderating variable between dependent and independent, that is consumer satisfaction and quality of product. So we have intervening variable, that is the impact of dependent variable caused by the independent variable. So for example, quality of products leads to consumer satisfaction, but it has an intervention of awareness. For example, this is how it intervenes between these two. So we know that customer satisfaction depends on the product quality, but the one which actually intervenes is awareness. So for example, you have one product that is provided to you by various other manufacturers. For example, let's take the example of mineral water that is provided by Nestle, that is provided by Aquafina, Aquina, and there are thousands of other brands that exist. So if you know the quality of product, you gonna get satisfaction with good quality products, or you gonna get dissatisfaction with less quality product. But what about awareness? If you have awareness of all these available products in the market, let's say Nestle, Aquafina, Hershey and all that, so then your satisfaction level definitely depends on the quality of products, but it also depends on your level of awareness. The more you're aware about what kind of products exist in the market, the more you'll be in a position to decide where you can find good quality, and then you can actually enhance your satisfaction. So this is how moderating and intervening variable or also have a relationship or something to do with dependent and independent variable. And we have already seen that customer satisfaction is our dependent variable, which depends actually on the quality of the product or quality of the products. What is hypothesis? Definition: it is actually a statement that is logically formed, an opinion on the basis of relationship between two variables. So in previous slides, we can actually form a simple hypothesis that product quality leads to customer satisfaction or does not leads to customer satisfaction. So this is how we can have null and alternative or alternative hypothesis. So we have null hypothesis, we have alternative hypothesis. So it is actually a statement that is logically formed or framed and opinion on the basis of relationship between two or more variables. So how the two or more variables are linked together, and if we state the logical relationship between these two or more variables, we are actually hypothesizing their relationship. It is an opinion which is based on theoretical or conceptual framework. For example, customer-oriented companies can make more business than production-oriented business. This is our hypothesis, that those companies where focus is on customer versus those company where focus is on production has different customer orientation or different business customer. So customer oriented companies can make more business than production oriented companies. So this is our hypothesis that we want to test. So it is actually the statement which is logically formed based on the opinion and the relationship between variables, and it also have theoretical basis, theoretical framework attached to it, or conceptual framework attached to it. So this is how we develop hypothesis. So based on theory, based on theoretical framework, which we actually helped from our critical literature review, we try to find the relationship, the logical link between one or the other variable. And when we find the logical link between one or the other variable, we are in a position to decide which variable is this. Is it dependent? Is it independent, moderating, or intervening? When we decide about these categories of variables, then we will be in a position to decide actually what is our hypothesis that we want to test. So for example, in previous slide, we have seen that we want to see customer satisfaction and quality of products. So quality of products, we are hypothesizing, leads to more customer satisfaction. If products are of quality, customers are more satisfied. So this is how theoretical framework helps us in developing hypothesis. So we are discussing about hypothesis development. So once we identify the important variable, then we try to establish their relationship through logical reasoning using our theoretical framework. Once we are in a position to do this, we actually have to see the three following things. One is to test the relationship's validity, whether the relationships are valid or not. Number two, after testing, we are in a position to get some reliable information about the existing relationship, and once we get the existing relationship information, we are also in the position to get some test results and ideas to solve the problem. If there is any problem, then we have to solve through tests and results of the test. So we test the relationship, we find something positive or negative which must be linked to theoretical basis or theoretical framework. If it is not linked, then based on these test results, we have to see how to solve the problem when we try to hypothesize one or the other relationship. Hypothesis development is closely linked with that of theoretical framework. Theoretical framework actually tells us about the relationship between or among variables, and based on theoretical framework, we are in a position actually to develop hypothesis, which helps us to deduce what kind of relationship, what kind of causal direction or relationship of the direction between or among various variables exist, and whether it is supported by theory or not. And if this is the case, how do we prove that the relationship is positively or significantly, or negatively or significantly or non-significantly linked with one or the other way? And for that matter, we have to identify whether it is a dependent or independent variable, whether it is intervening or moderating variable. And this is how theoretical framework and hypothesis development help us to analyze our data, help us to develop relationship among variables that on which we have information available with us. And that actually helps us to develop our idea into more practical research. Today we have talked about theoretical framework and hypothesis development, and we have also talked about that theoretical framework actually provides us the basis for the entire research that we want to conduct. And why it is entire research? Because on the basis of our theoretical or conceptual framework, we are in a position to formulate hypotheses that we want to test and test for their validity and reliability. And once they are valid and reliable, then we are in a position to say something about the theoretical linkages between or among variables. And this is how theoretical linkages leads us to hypothesis development. And hypothesis helps us to analyze our data. Before we end, I just want to show you again the graph that we have seen in the beginning of our lecture, that we start from observing the broad area of research, and from there we try to see what kind of data we need. We try to preliminary gather the data, and after that we try to formulate or write the problem definition. Once we are at problem definition stage, then the critical thing that we need is basically theoretical framework. Once we are in a position to decide about theoretical framework, then we definitely need the help to develop theoretical framework from the critical literature review which we have done. And we have to see that the theoretical framework should have emphasis or must have emphasis on the objectives of our research, also on the research question that we want to answer. And that theoretical framework helps us in generating the hypothesis we are interested in through our research topic, what kind of hypothesis we want to test and why. And that should be answered in our theoretical framework. When this thing is answered in our theoretical framework, then we will be in a good position to actually see how our research topic and objectives and research questions are linked to theoretical framework that we have formulated based on our literature review, and how from that theoretical framework we can actually come up on a hypothesis which we can test, or we can come up with testable hypothesis. Once we are in a position to test the hypothesis based on theoretical framework, then the research design comes in that we have already discussed, and then we will be in a position to decide about what kind of data we need, how do we analyze the data, and how to interpret the data. Based on interpretation, we come up with deducing hypothesis. This is the stage where we have to go back again to our hypothesis. So I just try to, for example, link between this deducing hypothesis to hypothesis generation and then to theoretical framework. So this again goes to our problem definition, and of course our theoretical framework is also linked to what kind of data we need, what kind of analysis we need, and what kind of interpretation we get out of it. So this is how various steps within theoretical framework are linked with each other. So theoretical framework is linked to hypothesis generation, which is linked to data collection, analysis and interpretation, which helps in deducing hypothesis. And once we deduce hypothesis, before writing we actually go back to see what hypothesis we had based on theoretical framework and what kind of deductions or results or conclusions we are getting out of it. And once we are in a position to see that our theoretical framework is actually linked to what we have deduced from our data analysis based on the hypothesis we have formed, we will be in a position to actually move from deduction stage to actually the next stage, which is report writing. And then of course report presentation, and then of course management will take any positive or any decision about that. So this is how we have to link. So we start from problem definition, you kind of see theoretical link or theoretical framework that helps us towards formulating a hypothesis or generating hypothesis that leads us to scientific research design that we want to use. And from that scientific design we actually moves to data collection, and from scientific research design we means formulating of research design, that is whether it can be experimental, it can be ethnographic, it can be action grounded theory, what kind of research we want to conduct. And from there we will be in a position to actually collect data, and from data collection then we will be in a position to see what kind of methodology we will use to analyze that data. And after that analysis of data, we'll try to interpret that result. And during interpretation, we will deduce actually whether our hypothesis stands or not. And if it does not stand, does what we have deduced has anything to do with our theoretical framework? If it has something to do with our theoretical framework, then definitely we are linking our theoretical framework with the problem definition we want to focus on. And if that is the case, this is how the various pieces of our research or scientific inquiry are actually coherently linked with each other. And if this is the case, then it becomes the scientific piece of writing which is based on stepwise methodology. So we take first step followed by second step followed by third step, and they are interlinked with each other. And this is how we'll be in a position actually to develop our theoretical framework as well as our hypothesis. Before we finish, I want to tell you that we have to understand these three things very carefully, that clarity should be there, identification and labeling should be there of the variables of study. The important relationship among variables must be defined, and we have to give clear explanation of the existing relationship of different variables. No doubt that theoretical frameworks form the basis of our research, but we have to have clarity when we talk about variables and their relationship, whether it is independent variable or not, we have clarity about it. Whether it is dependent variable or not, we have clarity about it. We have identification, which variables are independent and why. How do they influence dependent variable? And we have the relevance or label the variables of study accordingly. Is it independent? Is it dependent? Is it intervening or moderating? So we have to be clear about it. And then we have the importance of relationship among variables, which we must define. What kind of relationship actually exists between dependent and independent variable? Is it positive or negative? It is inverse? Is it non-linear? What kind of relationship do we expect, or it is actually existing? It can be through literature review, it can be through theoretical framework, or it can be through both. And then based on that we actually be in a position to form hypothesis. We have to give clear explanation of the existing relationship of different variables. We have to have in our mind that what kind of relationship actually exists between various variables, and we have to provide explanation based on our theoretical or conceptual framework. And theoretical and conceptual framework is the actually fourth most important aspect of our research methodology. The first is defining research question, second is research objective, third is literature or critical literature review, fourth is of course theoretical framework. So these are the four important pillars of your research when you want to conduct a research on any of your topic. If you want to write a report, if you want to write a research paper, or you want to write an MS or postgraduate level dissertation. These are the four very important points that you have to keep in mind. Research question and objectives, critical literature review, and theoretical framework. So when you are in a position to see these things, four things linked with each other, and you are coherent about them, and you are actually linking one step with the other step, you will be in a good position to actually understand your whole research by yourself, and you will be in a good position to present your results to those who are interested in your results. So how simple question that you have asked is linked to your objectives, how both question and objective links to the critical literature review you are doing, and then this literature review has anything to do with theoretical framework or not, and based on theoretical framework what kind of hypothesis you want to test. They are all interlinked with each other, and this is how you actually move further with your research. And when you are in a position to move further with your research, you will be in a good position to actually move your research further on scientific basis. And this is what we actually need. It should be scientific on the basis of your, your research is basically, your research should be scientific. Before I end, I would just say that try to see various lectures and their links with each other. Try to see various steps of research and their link with each other, and also try to see which books chapter are actually linked to the topics that we are covering, and try to read the book chapter so that you understand the crux of the matter in simple, easy and understandable manner. And once you understand these various steps of research methodology, you are actually in a good position to conduct the research based on these steps for your dissertation. And that actually helps you a lot in understanding how the whole research process moves, how the research is conducted, what are the important aspects of it, and what we must not avoid so that our research remains scientific and reliable, and the results that we deduce from our hypothesis should remain valid, and the hypothesis that we form must be testable hypothesis. So I end up here and I say thank you very much for your attention. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.